India's #1 news network. And you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.
You're watching Unmissable on News 9. I am Krishna Kumar. The big question as the Israel-Iran conflict escalates with every passing day is, will the U.S. enter the conflict? Will the U.S. strike Iran? And in the latest, Donald Trump has said that Iran has reached out to the U.S. for mediation, but he has told them that it's very late. It's day 6 of the conflict. Bear in mind, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion on Friday last week, the 13th of June, and after that surprise attack, Iran has retaliated with Operation True Promise. It's an unprecedented period of direct military confrontation that has seen Israel using fighter jets and drone strikes across Iran, targeting their nuclear and military sites, including surface-to-surface missile production facilities, detection radar sites, and surface-to-air missile launchers. Israeli forces have also reportedly killed many top Iranian military commanders and atomic scientists already, and in retaliation, Tehran has launched a barrage of missiles and drones hitting Israeli cities and towns and killing civilians. Now the US is not holding back. We don't know what exactly they're going to do. President Trump, after leaving the G7 meeting midway in a hurry, is mulling whether to strike Iran or not. He said, can't say for now. Now, if this does happen, what does this mean for the region, West Asia, and the world at large? What would be Iran's response then, and what would all of this do to the global economy? Those are some of the biggest questions facing us, even as we try to get a grip on what will the U.S. do at the stage. So far, Donald Trump has said that there is no confirmation can be given from his side on whether the U.S. will strike Iran. More importantly, in the latest, he said that Iran has actually reached out, but he has told Iran that it's very late. All said and done, Donald Trump is clear that Iran should not be having nuclear weapons. So that raises the big question, what exactly is the end game as far as the US is concerned with respect to the Israel-Iran conflict? We have Major General Sanjay Meston, defense and strategic expert, Rabindra Sachdeva, foreign affairs expert, and President Image India Institute, now joining us on the broadcast. Thank you, both of you, for being with us. We also have Deepak Vora, former Indian diplomat, also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you, all of you, for being with us. I want to begin with Major General Sanjay Meston. Major General Sanjay Meston, Donald Trump says Iran reached out for mediation, but it's very late, and quote-unquote, can't say whether the US will strike Iran or not. What do you make of that statement?
Yeah, this is part of the military operation, surprise and deception. You keep everyone guessing, and that is what exactly he is doing.
Okay.
I feel, what I feel is that, a military operation is conducted in a lot of phases, but one of the important phases is softening of the target. Now, here I would say softening of the battlefield. This work is being done by the Israelis. Americans, if they want to interject in the war, they will only go at a stage where they are assured of literally zero casualty. So what I imply is that the initial softening of the target or pounding of the target means Israelis are taking on all the missile launchers, maximum of their storage facilities, of the war material storage facilities. Of course, the nuclear facilities, whatever Natanz they could have done, has been done. But more important is Fordo, and that they will leave it to the United States as an appropriate time. So this window of opportunity is the shaping of the battlefield or softening of the target being done effectively by the Israelis. And Americans, this window of opportunity they will use for negotiation. Now, negotiation means America would like to do it on their terms, and the ultimate aim of Israel and strategic aim and objective of Israel and America is very, very clear that America should not be able to make, the Iranians should not be able to produce nuclear weapons. This is their stated objective, strategic objective, and this is what they want to achieve. Regime change is a fallout. If it happens, so well and good. If it does not, so that's not a main issue. The main issue is targeting these facilities, nuclear facilities. And for that, Americans will be only doing the Fordo one, and that they will do when they are assured. Assured means, once their intelligence says that no Iranian missiles, etc., cannot respond, they are assured. Because America at this juncture, they have a divided house today. Even Republicans are, so they cannot afford to take any casualty.
Fair enough.
And And another important aspect to be clear in mind is many people compare this to Iraq and Afghanistan, American interference. This is
Right.
different.
Okay.
There they had put boots on ground. Here the boots on ground will not be there in Iran. It will be basically aerial warfare, long range vector.
Got it.
And yeah.
Fair enough, Major Sanjay Meston. Ambassador Deepak Vora wants to come in. Ambassador Deepak Vora, please go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Always a pleasure, sir, to be with you and to be with General Meston, whom I respect greatly. His knowledge is superb. And as we also have Mr. Ravinder Sachdev, Dr. Ravinder Sachdev, brilliant. Now, I just heard General Saab saying that the objective is to prevent them from getting a nuclear bomb.
Right.
Let me put it to you differently, sir. You've heard of a chap called Shah Raza Pahlavi. He used to be the Shah of Iran after the Second World War till 1979, till he was booted out. He never talked about building a nuclear bomb. Then the mullahs come in after the revolution of 1979 and fight a war with Iran. The sequence of events is important from 1980 to 1989 or 1988 for 8 years, during which Shri Saddam Hussein, the mullahs are fighting Iraq. So Shri Saddam Hussein unleashes American weapons on the mullah regime, including chemical weapons. Saddam didn't know how to build chemical weapons. Who gave it to him? Man was a duffer. His scientists were useless. He got them from the Americans, and he used them against the Iranians. He used them against his own people who were siding with the other side against him. That is the point at which I believe the mullahs decided that they needed a bomb. They would have to have something more powerful than chemical weapon, decided to go in for atom bomb. And so by the late 1980s, everything started to change. The focus became, we have to have a bomb. Now, this focus came because of regime, the kind of regime that Iran has. Prior to that, there was no talk about it. Therefore, Israel's objective, sir, you can decapitate the present government. Somebody else would come up. He will want a bomb, as if he's of the mullah bent of mind.
So, fair enough.
So
where does that leave Iran? Where does it leave Israel and the US?
Let me come. UN is irrelevant, sir. It's 80 years old. It's sleeping all the time and dreaming and snoring. I mean, don't even talk about it. What Israel wants is regime change. Once there is regime change, the new regime hopefully will be a replica of what it was during the Shah's time. They will abandon the bomb forever. Libya did it. You remember, sir, what happened to them? When they talked about a bomb, there was also talk in Iraq that Saddam Hussein was hiding a bomb in his grandmother's closet. It turned out to be a totally false alarm, but nevertheless, they beat the hell out of him. They want this government to go. Why do you think Donald Trump keeps telling Shri Ali Khamenei, who, by the way, is no longer in Tehran, he's in Moscow, and this is pretty much confirmed, telling him that, we know where you are, we'll eliminate you. Why does he want to get rid of this one fellow? Because he wants to open the way for a pro-Western regime. And that regime itself will abandon Iran's nuclear program. This is my understanding of the situation after 20 years in the region. So the primary objective is regime change. The secondary objective, which will follow naturally, is that they will give up wanting to build the bomb. The same thing happened in Iraq. I've seen it in Libya. I've seen it in South Africa. I've seen it in dozens of places in the course of my career. Countries wanting to build a bomb, which America feels could be a threat to the United States' dominance of the world, are given a couple of tight slaps and made to behave themselves. Now, where does that leave Israel? Israel is right there. They are ready. They are beating whatever the daylights out of the Iranians. And the people of Iran, what are they looking at, sir, after 45 years of mullah regime? What have they got? 80% inflation, 50% unemployment, youth unemployment particularly. They want change. You remember, sir, I don't know, Mr. Robinson, they might know General Meston. I'm 74 years young, 52 years in diplomacy. 1953, I was very young then. There used to be a chap called Mohammad Mossadegh. He was a democratically elected, insanely popular prime minister of Iran. And then he did something very funny. He went and nationalized British oil interests in Iran. So the Brits got together with the Americans, engineered a coup. How was the coup engineered? They bought Iranian intelligence, they bought military officers, they bought police officers, number one. Number two, they bought the media, created all kinds of disinformation campaigns. That time there were newspapers. There was no social media. And third, they got their gundas onto the street. And Shri Mossadegh was arrested, died
Right.
in house arrest. Exactly that is being repeated today.
Okay,
Who has
okay.
told the let me complete, sir. Who's told the Israelis that Shri, this general is sitting in this house and this general is in that toilet, etc. The Israelis are not gods that a divine message came to them. It's their local contacts who are telling. They've
Right.
penetrated every level and they've controlled the media. And now their gundas, their pet fellows will come onto the streets. You'll watch this in the next 48 hours. They'll be on the streets and game
Okay.
over.
Robindra Sachdeva, let me bring you in to the conversation at this stage. What do you see happening in the next 48 hours?
Thank you so much. That's a very challenging question, especially after, it seemed your panel like General Minister and Ambassador Vora have, taken a look at it. Okay, maybe. My one perspective is that this is an opportunity for Netanyahu, not an opportunity, a chance, occasion, whatever you may say, which he cannot just give up. This is a lifetime of his work, and he will go ahead with it to the extreme he can. And that means, yes, regime change, but I would put maybe, it depends, chicken came first or the egg, whatever, destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities. He is himself, Israel is moving towards, Israel is attacking, doing it. And Israel has been persuading the United States also that United States must come in and help it finish off this situation now. You see, the point is, if there's a discussion right now, like a ceasefire being negotiated, yeah, Trump is maybe playing good cop, bad cop, and he could ask Israelis to, just hold on, then tell Iran, come to a deal, or Israel will resume, or I will come with them. That's fine. But in another, if the regime stays the same, yes, to Ambassador Vora's point, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, Iran will again rebuild its nuclear program. The only way for Israel to be worry-free in this region for a long time, for hundreds of years perhaps, of any nuclear threat to the Jewish people is that Iran's nuclear facility are completely decimated. One. Now, US, yeah, it's taking its time, but it seems Trump is coming around more or less, perhaps, in the next 48 hours or 4 days, 8 days. US will go ahead probably only with, let's say, what Israel needs right now from the US is only the B-2 bomber aircraft and the bunker buster bombs. The rest Israel is already doing. They're already, massacring whatever they want to, and damaging whatever. So the US comes in, destroys that through its air power. That is all. US doesn't need to get in offense involved more. In defense, in any case, America is involved. It's defending through its air defense systems and all. But that's what Israel is pushing for. And within America also, or within Trump's circle, there is a divide within Trump's circles also, deep divide actually coming up. But I think Trump is going to go ahead because this is a historic legacy that they will build. And if you look at the psychology of leaders, very often they do a few things to build up a legacy or to leave a historic legacy for themselves.
Okay. We understand that overnight the United States of America is shifting military aircraft and warships in and around the Middle East to protect Israel from Iranian attacks, even as President Trump has warned Tehran to step back from the conflict. And this, even as he's mulling joining Israel in striking Iran's nuclear sites or not, he says, can't say at the moment. And he says that Iran has reached out to the US. Meanwhile, just today, Iran's Supreme Leader Khamenei tweeted, and I quote, "It was already suspected that the US was involved in the malicious move carried out by the Zionist regime, but considering their recent remarks, this suspicion is growing stronger day by day," unquote. Now, as Israel awaits a decision from US President Donald Trump on whether they will join the operation against Iran's nuclear program, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is all set to convene his security cabinet at 10 p.m. tonight in Jerusalem. The question is, can we see action tonight itself? And the question also is, if the US joins in, what kind of action will it take? Major General Sanjay Meston, that remains to be seen, isn't it? And more importantly, what will be the fallout of it, both in West Asia and across the world?
Yeah, firstly, what action will be taken by the United States? The action is going to be very clear. The priority one target is the nuclear enrichment plant at Fordow. That is priority one. And therefore, they have moved even their refuelers that is this thing 135 series refuelers they have moved, and not only that, they have got B-1 bombers available. And B-1 bombers without refueling can fly 11,000 kilometers, and we know they are based in UK, Scotland, and Spain. So from there they will take off, and even if they have to do a mid air refueling, then they can fly a total distance of 18,600 kilometers. So that advantage is there. And the aircrafts have been modified to carry two of the GBU-57 bombs, and each bomb is actually weighing 13,600 grams. So this is 13,000 kg 600. So this is the kind of weaponry it will carry, and it will penetrate about 60 meters. So at a time, at least two bombs will be required, and they have the capacity even in one aircraft. So I think a number of aircrafts may be launched. And as it is, President Trump has been hinting that they have the air supremacy, and that has been achieved by the Israelis. So I think that is priority one. Now, priority two is simultaneously, which the Israelis are doing to target all their missile launch sites, missile launch facilities, their radars, which of course most of them have been destroyed. But more important than that, all their headquarters, which again are being destroyed. Today only the reports are that cyber warfare has been launched by Israeli. So simultaneity of action would be there. And therefore, what could be the retaliation by Iran? Now, Iran's retaliation, obviously, what is their strength or their asset? It is their missiles and, of course, their drones. So
Right.
this period would be utilized by them to target a lot of the Israelis and Americans would like to target all their these assets. So if this is achieved, I think then I would feel that perhaps it may not spread much in the Gulf area.
Okay.
But let's grant devil the due that even if he fires some missiles, what are the options? If he launches any of his missiles in these Gulf countries, basically 50,000 US troops are deployed. Therefore, that means it's a declaration of war against the Arab states, which again will have a big divide between Iran and the Sunni-dominated Gulf states. So, is that desirable? I think no. Can he block the Strait of Hormuz, which is 33 kilometers wide? Again, I doubt. So, options for Iran are limited, and it's actually going to get cornered. And strategically, Iran today has been isolated. Which country is really giving its armament and moral support, except just making statements? Beyond that, even Russia or China, what have they done? So I think Israel today, Iran is getting cornered to quite an extent. So perhaps the operation may not even happen tonight because President Trump, and yeah, another point is the US embassy in Jerusalem has been targeted. Of course, no casualties, but it's an attack on the American interest. So keeping all this mind, the narrative will be built up despite the difference of opinion among the Republicans. I think the operations will start maybe tonight, maybe after 1 or 2 days, because some kind of diplomacy will be tried, and Ambassador Vora would also realize that diplomacy is an option. But both have taken hard stance. Trump has taken hard stand, Netanyahu has taken hard stand, Khomeini has taken a hard stance. So
Okay.
if the hard stance have been taken,
Okay.
except the person who's making these statements is the Iranian foreign minister and the Iranian ambassador deployed in UK, that they are open for negotiations and they want to do talks. Beyond this, I think no one is making that statement. So maybe 1-2 days may be given for diplomacy. But I think offensive would be there, and that perhaps would have a lot of implications. Of course, it will impact the oil prices, etc. Let's see how it unfolds because everything depends then.
Let's see how it unfolds. But Ambassador Deepak Vora, Russia and China are supporting Iran. Will that mean that one can see the US taking on both of them?
Will the Russians send troops to fight in Iran? He's totally involved in Ukraine. He can't even control those characters. He's losing troops. Of course, the Ukrainians are also, so he's not going to do that. The Chinese have never sent a single soldier to fight anywhere, not even in their darling, what is that called, Atankistan. They won't do it. Why should they? And they are pretty useless fighters in any case. I do remember, sir, when we were talking about the nuclear program of Iran, I do remember 7-8 years ago, I think Dr. Sajdev and Janis, I will remember, the North Korean, the President Shahzada, he actually blew up a nuclear test facility. Now, I remember the name because it was very similar to Salman Khan's dialogue, "Main teri pungi baja dunga." So this facility was called Pungi. I do remember that it was blown up. Everybody said, "Oh, wonderful, what a great guy." And the Americans went and kissed him on both cheeks. A week later, it was up and running again. Now, how do you trust the Iranians? Where is the trust? The trust will only come when the mullahs go, sir. I'm saying this with sadness, at the same time with some hope that once this regime goes, Iran will go back to what it used to be. When I traveled there in the 70s, young people like you, would be flying directly out of Tehran to Tel Aviv, going to the nightclubs to dance and drink and make friends with the wonderful Israeli women over there. It was totally open. And then along come these jokers and everything changes. So my feeling is, that the regime change, bring fellows who will never again want to build a nuclear bomb. For what? Iran is not even in the Middle East. What are they going to do? Who are they going to fight? And we don't buy oil from Iran because of the sanctions. It's not going to hurt our oil prices. All this about Hormuz will be blocked and this will happen. Nothing of the kind will happen, sir. Who's going to block Hormuz? Iran? Who else will do it?
Okay.
Iran is alone, isolated. So my feeling is there'll be a lot of talk, but very little action on the ground. Iran is finished, the regime. Iran will continue. The people will be out on the streets and dancing and celebrating. But I believe the mullahs are history.
Rabindra Sachdeva, Iran meanwhile has been threatening to hit US bases in West Asia. What do you see? I know Ambassador Deepak Vora wouldn't believe this, but the point is that, Iran is that unstable force in that part of the world. That's the reason why we're having this conversation, because that's what Israel thinks, that's what the US has agreed to. What do you see Iran doing from all the threats it has issued so far?
We just don't know. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld once said, "We know many things, we don't know many things, and we don't know what we don't know." So right now we are in somewhat that situation. Yes, there is definitely a potential that what Iran could do would set off or trigger off actions and reactions in the Middle East, which could draw in the entire Middle East. That is very much a scenario there. I mean, there's some militias maybe beaten out, who've been decimated to a large extent, but still there's a huge potential of, some kind of triggers kind of flaring up and all. But back to the question overall. So we don't know on that front, right? And of course, it could settle down or it would continue. The point is, I would like to connect to what Ambassador Vora is saying and what General Meston said, both about regime change and the issue of simultaneity of actions. And I'll link it to what Munir is doing in the US today. Okay, sure. So let's say on the one hand, Americans go with their big bombers only to bomb the Fodro. The rest, Israel is continuing, yes. And now a regime change in parallel. Now, what Munir is talking maybe over lunch with Trump is that if you guys want, I can help you get your agents, not your, soldiers or whatever, but your agents, American agents, Israeli agents, into southern Iran, where South Balochistan of Iran is already into an insurgency. I'll turn a blind eye. It's not talking about a base in Pakistan. It's just saying that I'll facilitate those guys going in through, taking through grenades and rocket launchers or whatever, etc., so that the insurgency spreads further in southern parts of Iran, thereby contributing further to the regime change. So these would be, yes, in the term that I think General Miston used, simultaneity. So there must be much more happening. But I do very much think that this is what Munir is angling, and that's what he's offering to the US right now.
Okay. Deepak Vora, let me bring this back to you, Ambassador Vora. Pakistan, it has said, its aim is to protect the Muslim world, but it has denied, saying that, Iran will nuke Israel if Israel nukes Iran. Pakistani planes have been flying on the Pakistan-Iran border in the meanwhile, and Asim Munir is meeting Trump. Talk to us, what do you make of that?
Well, sir, if I were today, and in India, we are seeing the political opposition saying, "Oh, he's invited Munir, it's a failure of Indian diplomacy." Well, thank you very much. Happy birthday. If I were a Democrat who didn't like Donald Trump, when India went to Moscow and said, "Hey, buddy, my friend Vladimir Putin, I love you, I love you, I love you," the Democrats would have had Donald Trump for breakfast and saying, "See, what a failure of American diplomacy. You can't even stop India from going and buying Russian oil." This kind of nonsense we'll keep getting. This is political stuff. By the way, are you aware of what the menu is for lunch today with McDonald Trump? Well, it's jihadi biryani, atanki murg, katil dal, atmanghati naan, and gaddar mithai. This is what they are going to have over there. Today, these are meant to be a joke, don't take it seriously. But this is what he's going to go. Why is he doing it, sir? He was using Pakistani bases to clobber the Taliban. Those bases are there, they haven't disappeared. Take it from me, sir. There's a 1,200 kilometer or 1,300 kilometer border that Pakistan has with Iran. He is going to use that to send in ground forces because without them, you won't be able to destroy the canisters, the steel little things in which the enriched uranium is kept and spread all over the country. And he will also attack them through Afghanistan. Shia Iran, trying to play for big stakes, is going to fall flat and hurt very badly. No one, but no one in that region, the Middle East as we refer to it, wants to have anything to do with Iran. The Saudi, after Camp David, sir, the Egyptians and the Israelis said, darling, darling, sweetheart, sweetheart. They kissed and made up. And then Sudan went there, and UAE did that, and Jordan did that. And the Saudis were on the verge before the Hamas thing took place. All these guys don't want Iran there. You are 1,500 kilometers away. Go look the other side. Don't look at us. Thank you very much. Happy birthday. I see this happening. The mullah is gone, sir. I don't believe that he's in Tehran anymore. He's hiding somewhere in Moscow. I'm sure he'll enjoy whatever he enjoys there, the caviar. I'm told the Russian
Major
caviar is
Sanjay
better
Messin,
than...
would you concur with that?
Yeah, I tend to concur. He may be off somewhere, wherever it is. But the fact of the matter is, I would just state a few things. We have talked about the Gulf GCC countries, basically all the Arab countries. See, today a lot of people even talk about, that there can be some kind of a revolution there and, people are not happy with their leaders. I think I would put it other way. Whether it is UAE, whether it is Saudi Arabia, today all these countries are one of the foremost advanced countries in the entire Middle East. You see the development. UAE is a model example. When people have got basics, not only basics, for example, in Dubai, there is no income tax. Everyone is prospering. It's a mini world. People are going from all over the world. Saudi Arabia, today the women are driving. So these part of the world today, the radicalism is not there and people obviously, and you see one example, Pakistani skilled workers and the normal workers are not being given visas by Dubai or UAE. Why? Because they don't want radicalization in that part of the globe. So what I want to highlight is that the way things are going on, especially the Arab world and these all advanced countries, I would basically GCC countries, they are not going to fall in this trap, and therefore exactly what Ambassador Vora stated. Firstly, President Trump visited 3 of them: Oman, Saudi Arabia, and of course UAE and Qatar. Number 2 is that the economic development is there. They are all rich countries. And number 4 is the Camp David Accords. This is what exactly China and Iran were not happy. Saudi Arabia and Israel was to do. So I think things today, I also agree that Iran is getting isolated. It's making a lot of noise, but how much action will happen on ground, that only time will say. But I feel their capabilities are being marginalized each day by the Israeli offensive.
Okay. Fair enough. We'll leave it at that. We're completely out of time here on the discussion. Major General Sanjay Messin, Ambassador Deepak Vora, and Rabindra Sachdeva. Thank you, all 3 of you, for taking time out to be with us here on Unmissable on News 9.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News 9, English news as it should be.